Hello, everyone. Welcome to The Boy That Loved, a boys love podcast hosted by me, Deanna. Hello, hi. So today I wanted to make a video. I saw a comment in my Discord, and I wanted to talk to you guys about something. I guess it's kind of a sequel to my last video that I posted. But someone left a comment about Playboy, and they said it's easy to dismiss the NC scenes as just sex scenes, but they provide a lot of information, character traits, and foreshadowing, etc. They're not they are not random or gratuitous like people like to think. Now you start to see the bits and pieces of the full picture. But then again, it's 14 episodes. They wouldn't give it all up in the first three episodes. And I read that comment and I was going to respond to it, but I was like, no, let me not respond because I felt like if my response would have been unnecessarily antagonistic because I don't agree with this notion. And I want to make a video about this because it's not just because like Playboy. It's, you know, it can feel kind of frustrating lots of times when when you have critiques on the show doing something that like there's a bunch of filler or like there's lots of time wasted in the episode, or we are doing the same thing per episode, rinse and repeat, and you feel frustrated with it, and someone responds with you know what they're doing in the show is all of it's necessary or most of it is necessary to have a deeper understanding, or to have it's more nuanced than what it's actually shown when we're just seeing stuff on surface level. I feel like that dismisses any type of critiques that you may have on the show. Like your opinions on it are wrong because this is what they're doing. This is the bigger picture. This is the deep meaning behind it. This is the layers there, and you're just seeing things surface level. And I don't think that's fair. I don't think that's fair. And when it comes to like Playboy, yes, I've said, especially in the first episode, in all the episodes actually, the sex scenes don't really, not all of them are necessary. They aren't, especially episode one. Episode one was cranked up to, because there were some fantasy scenes in that episode. There was some scene where they're doing this stuff, and it was 5-10 minutes long. We got the point the first time. There were so many scenes where the homeboy was pleasuring himself randomly during another scene when someone's getting a lap dance from a stripper. And the thing is, the necessary information, the point of it all was displayed in the first maybe 10 minutes of the episode when they had that little montage and like all that person was like the voiceover was talking. We got all that. So even though yes, the sex scenes provide context and even, get more information about the characters. I'm not saying that's not the case. I'm not saying they're wrong. I just don't think because of that reasoning isn't why we should have so many of them and them being so long. It's way too much. It's way too much. And what they're doing is and obviously they're not going to give the whole plot in the first couple episodes. Like we know that, but they give so little plot per episode, not explaining things on purpose, so you can come back and keep watching because they don't have enough material to fill out a 14 episode count. And reading a comment like this does make me so frustrated because I'm like, your opinions on the show moving too slow, or it's too fluffy, it's too much of bullcrap filler, it's too much NC scenes on this side. It's valid. I think it's valid. You may think it's fine, you may not mind it, but trying to dismiss someone's points of view on it because of this reason, and that doesn't make it okay for it to do. It doesn't make it doesn't make what I'm trying to say. It doesn't make it more palatable to watch it because like just because they have to fill out 14 episodes doesn't mean it's fun to watch it be slowly dragged out for 14 episodes. You can do side plots, other things that are more interesting if you want to stretch out your story. You can stretch out your story and make it a whole grand overarching narrative, but can we do stuff towards that narrative or have a secondary narrative to follow as well? That makes sense? Because Playboy, they do have secondary things, but they're very, 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 very surface level. And it sucks because since Playboy is the way it is, we don't really get to know none of these characters for real, what they are, what they want, their desires. It seems like they desire each other, and that's the whole thing, and that's it. And but like that doesn't leave much to be. It doesn't leave much interest, at least for me. I think it's great that they find these other persons attractive and they like them, but like they're still underdeveloped characters, so it's hard to care that much, and it's hard to watch and find entertainment in an episode where we're not like having seen them laying in bed and having the same conversation over again, and then they're busting down. We're talking to our friends, get back with them. It's the same little cycle that's not really progressing nothing for real. So it's a little harder to kind of make excuses for it. They're just padding the runtime because they need to make sure this story of the whole missing brother thing lasts long, and that's okay. Like that's okay to acknowledge that. I don't think we have to make an excuse for it every time. And that's what happens with these shows. There's an excuse made for everything. And sometimes they're not. I've noticed when I talk about Kaseki and my critiques of Kaseki, my subscribers, people in my Discord were like, oh, we don't disagree with you. And I was like, wow, I'm kind of shook. I'm like, yeah, you're right. I just like the boys together. I'm like, okay, bet. But someone has a rebuttal. I think I might have said this in my previous video, the same thing. I'm just like, I don't. Then what's the point of having a discussion on? Because I forgot what show that was. Did I mention in the last video? I don't know if I mentioned. I probably repeated myself, but like when we're talking about bed friend, and how I was like, damn, we're doing the same thing each episode. They were like, oh, they did this whole profound, long like speech about why it's all significant, and then they're like, well, is it repetitive? Yes. I'm like, well, that's my point. What's the meaning behind what's going on is not lost on me. I'm just bored of seeing the same thing each episode. We're not moving forward in any way, any direction. Yes, we're getting flashbacks, but the flashbacks amount to the same thing we've seen already. And it's okay to be frustrated with that. I think people wanting stories to have momentum, follow up, characters being fleshed out, those are normal wants and needs from a story. And you're not wrong for being frustrated from watching a show that has a 45 minutes to an hour runtime and you get very little bit of progression. You're not wrong for being frustrated with that. I don't think you are. I may be just a sourpuss, and I will admit if that sometimes I can be just a little just more frustrated than I should be. But just seeing replies like this, like trying to explain away the frustration or explain away why, like it's like you don't have any joy. You're just not seeing the bigger picture. You're not seeing the nuance of everything. I'm like, yeah, I see the nuance. I'm just bored with it. I'm just we ain't moved from point A to point B fast enough for me. And we're 5 episodes in. Nothing has changed. You know what I mean? But what are your thoughts? Like I probably repeated myself. I did the same things I said in the other video, but I just saw this comment. I'm just like, man, oh man, why can't I don't know. And there's no hate towards them. Even though we don't, this person in particular, we don't actually agree, and often had opposing feelings or have feelings about something. They have a response. It seems like they have a response to everything, a rebuttal, just a rebuttal. And I'm not saying you have to agree with me. I mean, that's what I'm saying. I don't want you guys to think that I feel like you need to agree with my point of view because I have one that's different from yours. I just feel like at times having your opinion be so dismissed, and maybe I'm in the fault too. There's been times where I feel like I dismissed someone's points of view and feelings. Like I remember when my peers were like, "Oh, you should watch Dangerous Romance. It's so good," and I watched it, caught up to where they were at. I think it was like episode 6, I think, and I was feeling like, "Oh, you guys lied to me. This show is not great at all." Like the first 2 episodes, I was like, "Okay, it worked," but then after episode 3 and onward, I was like, "Oh no, this is not." And I did kind of feel bad because they really like the show, and their reasons for liking it are not my reasons for liking it, and my reason for disliking it, they don't. Even if it's sometimes it's weird because sometimes I can express how I feel, like if I dislike something, and someone will who went up for the show, who stands the show, will not disagree with me, and I'm always like, so you're telling me you see what I'm saying, but you don't care because of this reason. I wish that you would have told me that beforehand. And I think lots of times the problems I see in the show, they don't necessarily see until someone says something. And like, oh yeah, that's right. We were sitting there for 10 minutes and they were talking on the beach and nothing happened. You know what? Yeah, the character did all that just to be at the where they were in the beginning at the episode, so nothing changed. I guess you're right. I didn't realize that. And that happens a lot. That especially with me when I'm watching show, I'm realizing, oh, we didn't progress or this didn't add much. And someone else will be like, oh, this is the best episode ever. I'm like, yeah, they were kissing, sure. They held hands. That's great. But the status quo ain't is remain, I guess. And they're like, oh wait, yeah, we haven't we are in episode 8 and not much has really progressed. You're right. I didn't realize that. And I've noticed that people are like don't see they lots of times they can't see past the boys and the boys' love rather than and then when that happens it's like tunnel vision. So like everything else that's happening, plot points they brought up or whatever are not being progressed, they're not moving enough and but they don't notice it. And I'm like, "Oh, that makes sense." But I just wish that was more people were more aware of that when they recommend a show or whatever the case may be. But then, like I said, I'm probably just doing the most when it comes to my critiques and everything, not taking it for what it is. And I'm trying to be better because there are some shows I really enjoy. Like I Cannot Reach You. I like that show so much. It's a simple slice of life romance, and they are doing episodic things per episode, but the romance that they have going on progresses significantly each episode. There are sometimes it does kind of repeat the similar things they did in previous episodes, but it's a little bit more expanded. There's the person that's dealing with the problem, the similar problem, has grown since that first episode, so it's a little different. It may be a similar scenario, but the character has went through a change, a different thought process since then. So it feels like there's progression, even though the base thing's the same. The person dealing with it has changed, and they respond differently to it. You know what I mean? Those subtle things bring me joy in a show. Like I don't like even watching Light on Me. Our characters are doing the same thing per episode mostly, but they're growing and changing, so they're responding to things differently, and there's different points of views that they have now because of the growth of the character over the course of the episodes. Even though what they're dealing with is very similar, you know what I mean? And I just feel like shows like Playboy, I don't get that at all. I know we have that mystery with the thing and the brother thing, but I don't. I guess I'm not understanding the progression. Like how close are we to finding out? We don't know. What information that we got from this is significant? It doesn't seem like it is. It's like you did all this to get nothing out of it. So we're watching you get nowhere. So it's kind of frustrating. And the boys in the relationship with the Playboys, that seems very underdeveloped, and there's no reason for their action. So it's all frustrating. It's so aggravating. And I know 14 episodes, they have to fill it out, so they have to spread out. They can't give too much information, or it'll wrap up too soon. I don't know. But yeah, sorry. I guess I went on a tangent for no reason. I just saw that comment. I was like, oh my gosh. Also, I have a good question. How should I respond to this? Because, not to this particular, but like in the future, because I've often felt my tone or my feelings are way too antagonistic. It's never that serious for the most part. For the most part, it's never that serious to kind of get into these like heated debates almost. Especially when I feel like people will listen with the intent to respond. They want a rebuttal just to be a rebuttal, and that may not be the case, but that's what it feels like. I feel like there's a response and like a I need to have a different I need to reply to you in a different way or have an opposing opinion. And sometimes it's not even that serious. It's not serious for you to reply to me that way. It's not me, or it's serious for me to reply to you in the first place, at least with a tone. You know, having a critique on something and then being like, well, it's necessary, it's needed. I'm like, no, it's not needed. We don't need 2 hour long bust down scenes. We don't. Like, we got it. We, like, you know what I mean? Like, 3 minutes, fine. 12, 13, an hour, what are we doing here? And I know you know that's a lot. Like, I know you know. Because you say there's a point to it, and I'm saying we got the point. What else is. The rest of it is gratuitous. It is. I mean, the shots are all stylized. They're panning, and there's multiple of them. It's gratuitous. Like, it's not. You acting like just because this is part of their lives and they show it, being excessive with it. We don't have to see it all the time. Like what we're doing. Like, maybe every episode short. 15 times per episode. The soccer coach, rugby coach, busting down this guy and then now this one. He doesn't finish with either one of them. We need 2 scenes to convey that. We got it the first time. Now, I haven't seen episode 5 as of this recording. I'll probably watch it tonight to see. But my point still stands. But yeah, let me know your thoughts below, and I will see y'all in the next video.